Hello, my name is Chloe Folan, and you're very welcome to the third video in the mini-series, The Rays. In this video, I would like to address just a mix of things, a little bit of as a follow-on from the previous two videos, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about rays. Now, once again, there are a lot of good teachers about the rays. I'm only hoping to share the basics, but I do hope the sharing the basics the way I would filter it might inspire some inspiration or good, solid, intelligent food for thought. So I would first of all like to come back to what are the rays? So while I did discuss the rays are essentially white light fractured, if we take it back a step, the rays to me, meaning white light, before white light translates down through deeper form, and that's how it fractures through us, through our solar system, through our planets, through us as multi-dimensional spiritual beings. Before white light is stepped down to that level, white light to me is essentially the origin of light itself. So the origin of where you inherited your light body from, meaning no matter what level it is built to, no matter what level your light body is evolved to. So the rays to me, what light is the origins of higher consciousness and the origins of spiritual life itself. This is where I might get a giggle or two describing it another way. The rays to me are sacred. Why someone would laugh at me saying that, I don't know, but sometimes it does get a bit of a, I don't know why, because when I'm trying to explain how I filter the rays, what the rays are to me, the rays are sacred. Spiritual light is the origin of spiritual life itself, and the origin of our higher selves. When white light, so it's sacred to me, when white light then is stepped down through the planes of reality, especially when it comes down to deeper form and breaks up and fractures, to me, that is what is meant by we are all a part of a greater whole. Because when it comes to what I call people's ray makeups, people might only have 2 or 3 of those rays, meaning of the 7 main rays of life, meaning there are 7 main rays within the origin of light. And then all of the other rays are sub-rays of those 7 expressions of white light. So when it comes to the way we receive the rays, because you can receive rays pouring in for conditioning our planet, but then you also embody the rays through your ray makeup, meaning your soul ray, your monadic ray, your triad ray, or if I was to say that in proper order, your soul ray, triad ray, and monadic ray, that people usually only carry And then, of course, you've got the personality ray as well. So there's many ways to talk about the rays and the way the rays manifest through the personality, the way the rays manifest through physical human form. The rays manifest through your personality ray, your soul ray, your triad ray, your monadic ray. But essentially, I believe that's what is meant by we all carry a part of the greater whole, meaning there's no one in incarnation or out of incarnation for that matter, unless we're going to talk about light, spirit, God. That's also, when I'm talking about white light, to me, that is source, God, spirit, many names for the same phenomena. But when the rays translate down through us, through the personality ray makeup, and if you are privileged enough to be able to witness that in somebody, you are witnessing light, source, spirit, the piece of light that you are carrying while you are in form, while you are alive. When it comes to the personality ray, and when it comes to someone's ray makeup, another way of describing, witnessing, observing somebody's ray makeup is you having the privilege to witness how God is expressing through that person, not meaning God directly. I mean you witnessing the piece of spirit somebody is carrying, someone is embodying. Coming back to the 7 main rays of life, the other rays are sub-rays, not meaning less than, meaning when it comes to other ray hues, they are a keynote, they are a piece of one of the main 7 rays of the expression of light, the expression of source. The 7 main rays, you have the first ray, which is the red ray of will and power. You have the second ray, which is the indigo ray of love wisdom. And it carries that energy. So the first red ray of will and power carries the energy of higher will. Essentially, I could describe that, I could go into that in more detail, but just to keep it simple, carries the expression, the keynote of higher will. You've got the indigo ray, the second ray of love wisdom, which carries that energy of love wisdom. You have the third ray of activity and adaptability, which is green. So the spiritual energy over when light itself adapts, changes, grows, or heals. The third ray of activity and adaptability, the application of spiritual light, the activity of spiritual light. You have the fourth ray of harmony through conflict, but in that pure form, when it's the fourth ray from source, it's obviously carrying more of the energy of harmony, the harmonization, fourth ray of harmony. When you, the fifth ray is orange, the ray of science and knowledge, spiritual science and knowledge. You have the sixth ray, which is the blue ray of devotion and idealism. So the idealists, the devotional energy, spiritual, very high caliber spiritual ideas. and the devotion for caring and being patient with nurturing those spiritual ideals and ideas. You then have the seventh ray, the violet ray of spiritual reordering, or it's also known as the ray of ceremonial magic. And what's meant by that is the ability to spiritually, a little bit similar to activity and adaptability, but the ability to really go deep with the reordering of life. Beautiful ray. Beautiful ray. Very connected to the Aquarian age of reordering through groups, the reordering of resources, the redistribution of quality, really bringing all of those qualities in. So if we gently come back on that, there's white light, which to me is the origin, is source, spirit, God. And then as white light translates down through the planes, the different components, the different energies break up and express through those planes. You have will, love, activity, healing, growth. You have harmony. You have spiritual science and knowledge. You have devotion and idealism. You have spiritual reordering, spiritual ceremony. And this brings me back to what I was trying to Right Relations express in my first video. Can you imagine more consciously connecting with and being aware of those energies contained within white light? Just being able to more consciously touch and receive and connect with the 7 rays of life. Being able to be aware of, know, feel the energies that are carried by those 7 rays of life, how they ebb, flow, harmonize, the energies they bring in. Can you imagine if a spiritual teacher was in any way, shape, or form in contact with the rays? Can you imagine them receiving the rays properly and then turning around and starting nasty little divisions or prompting nasty little divisions over what ray is better? If in any way, shape, or form, and everybody can, by the way, see, feel, know, receive the rays, even just a glimpse. Can you imagine anyone who is actually able to do that? Then turning around and going, this ray is better, this ray is more powerful. Can we just take a step back and have a look at that on another level? Like I was saying, when it comes to ray makeups, looking at it from personality ray up to monadic ray, everyone has about 2 or 3 small parts of those greater rays, not smaller meaning less than, containing a portion of one of those 7 rays of life. A person in incarnation because I don't care what label someone gives themselves, we're all human, okay? We are all human. We are all flesh and blood with the rays expressing through us. But this is where the problem lies. Sometimes it's not a ray. Sometimes it's a wound. Someone expressing an activated wound. But can you imagine someone who is a smaller, not less than, just a smaller expression, but still very much connected to the rays of life itself, carrying one or two of them, getting the notion into their head that they have the authority to then turn around and tell you what ray is more powerful? A human, an incarnation, turning around and going, no, I'm going to tell you what part of God is more powerful. I'm going to tell you what part of spirit is more powerful. This ray is better than my modality with this ray is better. Do you really think that a teacher that has any way, shape or form touched the rays or work with the rays, do you really think they would get that notion into their head to cause versus nature over the rays? That's astounding to me. To take something that's sacred, to take that expression of God, source spirit, to take that expression of God's source spirit expressing through us, and then turning around and going, oh no, I'll tell you what part of spirit or God is more powerful or higher frequency or better than. I get stunned into silence sometimes. I get stunned into silence. Like I was saying in the second video, the rays have their own rhythm. People in incarnation don't dictate the rays. You can consciously work with the rays. You can invoke the rays. But the rays know what they're doing. Source knows what it's doing. Light knows what it's doing. And at different times, different rays will condition, whether that's in terms of something happening within the person's vehicles with the light body, or whether that's in terms of a ray conditioning a larger portion of humanity. That's happening anyway, whether someone sees that or not. It's not happening because someone in life, in being alive, someone alive, it's not happening because someone alive says it's happening. They might be privileged enough to notice a particular ray coming into condition humanity at a particular time, or a particular ray coming into condition a particular person. But that would be happening anyway, whether it was seen or not. The rays have their own currents. The rays have their own evolutionary rhythm. So just to be clear, it's not that you can't invoke and work with the rays. You very much can, and anybody can. Even if you can't internally or clairvoyantly see, you still can. You can still feel the rays. You've got your gnosis. There are many ways to perceive, feel, know, and connect with the rays. But the rays aren't waiting for a human to notice them. They are there anyway. They condition anyway. And even when it comes to a master of the wisdom helping to facilitate a ray coming in, that ray was already there. They are assisting with that ray pouring forth more. But even if someone with inner vision or clairvoyance or whatever label's being used is stating it, even someone who can't see would still receive the rays. God created all equal. I'll give an example of that. Let's just take that scenario of Master Ozeki helping with more violet coming into condition, like that the Aquarian age that's birthing, that's happening as we speak, that violet ray coming down and conditioning. That's not happening because someone with inner vision noticed it. It was happening anyway. You're privileged enough to witness it if you have that capacity, but even someone who doesn't see it will still receive it. So someone with inner vision would, yes, get an impression of a ceremony happening in hierarchy with that violet ray being stepped down and having the privilege of witnessing that ray flooding in, stepping in down through the golden network of triangles, down, flowing into conditioning the planet if it is something for the whole planet to receive at that time. But it would be happening anyway. And someone that doesn't see, this is how they would receive it. Let's take a teacher and a teacher in a normal education school. And let's just say this teacher doesn't have inner vision clairvoyance. Maybe they're clairsentient. Maybe they have gnosis. Maybe they don't know that they know they've got gnosis. Let's just take someone who's still only really working with the 5 main senses, which is perfectly okay. They are at their job, they're doing their work. The violet ray is pouring forth. And to me, that's sacred. Violet ray pouring forth. It's still going to bless them. It's still going to condition them, and they'll be going about their business and then all of a sudden receive an idea. Remember I said it's the ray of reordering. Ceremonial magic as well, but reordering. They would then all of a sudden receive an idea. Oh, wouldn't this be a great way to restructure the curriculum? Or, oh, wouldn't this be fabulous to introduce into the school curriculum? And then it's up to their free will with that impulse, whether they do try to initiate that. And it might take a few weeks, it might take a few months, but they might be successful then in initiating that change in the curriculum. And even if they're not aware of it, that will be a piece of the puzzle with the reordering happening for the Aquarian age that's occurring or starting to occur as we speak. So what would I like to explain a little bit further with this? I would like to explain or go a little bit into perception. And once again, it amazes me sometimes, people that want to put themselves forth with that label and call themselves an oracle or a seer, but then seem to be missing the basics of perception. Meaning, yes, if you are privileged enough to be able to witness a conditioning ray coming in and the master assisting with that, number one, if you were really perceiving something that's sacred, holy, you would understand that other people are picking up on that also. Nothing wrong with helping to spread that information, nothing wrong with helping to spread that wisdom, but you would know that other people would be picking up on that too. And what you would also know is if you didn't mention it, other people would still be receiving it. You were just fortunate enough and privileged enough to see it. More to the point, even when it comes to people, whether they use the label clairvoyance, inner vision, seer, oracle, you still only perceive what's relative to you. You do not and are not going to see it all. You will see what is relative to you. So what I'm trying to get at here is when a narcissism wound rears its head and someone goes to share that information, but then wants to have that slight narcissism with it over, oh, I am channeling this information for you, and trying to completely disassociate themselves from it. Number one, someone else would have picked up on that, and maybe they are able to express it without sticking in that slight failed narcissism or martyrdom or whatever wound is getting in there with it, with receiving that impression, but it's for you as well. It's for you. You know, this disassociation, I channeled it for you. No, you didn't. You channeled it for yourself as well. What you channeled and what you perceived is as equally for you as those you think it is for, remembering that those people would receive the rays their way and perceive the rays their way anyway. God created all equal. Source, spirit created all equal. There are no favorites, especially when it comes to receiving the rays. So this brings me back to, and actually I might save this for the next video, or I might, this brings me to then addressing the final sneaky double talk argument that sometimes gets stuck in there. When I am doing my best, as wisely as I can, to counteract rayism, because I think it's gross, because once again, the rays are sacred to me. Anyone using the rays in any type of way where it's, anyway, I think you understand what I'm saying. When someone is receiving impression for a particular ray combination, it is just as relative to them as it is to those they think it is for. And it's not more powerful then. But here's the thing. Sometimes the excuse gets used, well, I am downloading this information for you because you are now a higher frequency and now you need a stronger or higher ray frequency. No, there is so much amiss and so much sideways with that statement that I would need to break it down to gently examine it one by one. So if the reasoning behind it is, no, this ray combination or this ray is the one I am now telling you to use because you're a higher frequency and all of this, well, number one, you are channeling it just as much for you as those you think it is for. So you should be working with it and using it first, before then right relations, passing on that information free of narcissism and martyrdom. Number two, if the excuse then is, okay, as you raise your frequency, as you build your light body, you need a higher frequency. Well, I think I've already dealt with the fact that all rays are of a high frequency. They just have different conditionings. They have different conditioning impacts. Yes, their vibrations are different, which also then gives you the note or tone of that ray. But essentially, they are all high frequency. The main 7 rays of life have directly originated from God, source, spirit itself. So when that double talk crops up, the second off thing with that is, if that's your claim that you're ascending, Well, I don't know what type of light body you're talking about, because the way I would filter building the light body, the way I would filter teaching people to build the light body through the tried, tested, safe, healthy methodologies that I have, as you build the light body, you integrate that level of light. You become that light, you embody that light you're seeking. And when the light body is built properly, at least the light body I'm talking about, you consistently are at that frequency. So if something comes your way that's of a lower vibration, because of the level of light you have built in and integrated, the light level you are now holding, you don't need the next highest. You are that. You are holding that. You are embodying that. It's self-regulating. Where if something of a lower vibration comes along, it's transmuted because of what you have built in with properly building the light body. And when it comes to the rays that condition building the light body, you don't dictate that, your light body does. As you go through methodically building the light body, I've been very privileged to witness, coming back to the 10 years worth of case studies that I've done and are still doing on the Rainbow Bridge techniques. I've been privileged enough to witness, and I've catalogued it, the rays that condition different stages of antakarana thread weaving and light body building. They come in as the light body is built, whether the person invokes them or not. And more to the point, when someone gets to a certain stage of building the light body, less is more. In other words, when I have the privilege of working with people who have built the light body in a proper, healthy, methodical way, it then gets to the point when all you need is a little bit of maintenance. The reason why you would still need a little bit of maintenance is because you were always seeing, perceiving, and filtering energy through your central channel, through your aura, and through your chakras. Even when your chakras become secondary, that's still your filter for how you perceive the world around you. So because things can get very dense down here in form with the three imperfect worlds of the physical, emotional, and mental worlds around us, you are then holding already a high frequency that you've naturally and organically built in that becomes self-regulating, to where it gets to the point where all you need to do is just a little bit of a spiritual vortex. You still might work with the soul staff clearing the channel. You'll sound the soul mantra prayer, but it's very fluid. And you don't need much, or you might use the pink light technique. So when someone tries to fob me off with that double talk, oh, but this week you need this, excuse me, I can't even sometimes speak such nonsense. That's what that was. Let me try again. When someone's trying to double talk me with that double talk nonsense, meaning, oh, but because you are now building the light body to a higher frequency, you need a higher frequency rate of which there is no such thing. And they're telling you that once a month or every quarter or whatever's going on. And they're trying to tell you that you need this to keep you on this spiritual high. Well, quite frankly, you don't have a proper light body building teacher. What you have is a glamorized spiritual drug dealer trying to give you the next high, or trying to tell you you need the next high, because they're comparing your multi-complex physical biology and spiritual ecology to an iPhone. How very 3D. So look, to summarize, if a teacher is going, now I'm channeling this ray combination for you, and then the next week, no, I'm channeling this ray combination for you, and then a couple of months later, no, it's this ray. They're channeling it for them as well. So if they are apparently building the light body, what's going on there? If they're building the light body properly, but channeling, now this ray's needed, now that's ray needed, I'd be quite concerned as to why you are receiving the impression that there's something that still needs to regulate within you if you're building the light body properly. Do you see what I mean about it being double talk? When the light body is built properly, at least the way I would filter it and see it, when that is done properly, the correct condition, well, not correct, the condition, because people can see rays in different ways. I mentioned that in the second video. The rays that can be perceived that will then come through to condition different stages of building the light body and antiquana thread weaving come in any way as you do it, whether you're able to perceive it or not. And if you are building the light body properly, you don't need the next high. You've already built in that level of light. You are that light. You are embodying that light. When it comes to getting into the highest stages of building the light body, or what I would call the highest stages of building the light body, less is more. It doesn't mean you still might not like to work with a certain ray combination. Might be interesting. You might still be drawn to it for a particular reason, but not because you need it. So I just want to see if there's anything else I'd like to say about that. So yes, once again, if you are interested in the type of light body building that I'm talking about, it's the Rainbow Bridge techniques, which are also known as the Soul Star clearing techniques. I do give classes on the Rainbow Bridge techniques, but you can access the techniques from the soul1.org website, www.soul1.org. You can have a look at the steps for free. So, in closing, because moving forward, I would now like to share some techniques with you for ways anyone can connect with and work with the rays, and I'll explain how that can be done even if you think you can't see, or maybe you do struggle to inner vision see, and I need to create a video about that as well, because there's reasons for that. Not everybody is meant to see. Everyone's given a different piece of the puzzle, but just because you can't see or might not see as much as anybody else doesn't mean you can't do your job or your service, and it doesn't mean you won't be able to do your job or your service to the best of your abilities. You don't have to inner vision see. So in closing, I hope I've expressed to the best of my abilities why the rays are sacred to me. And I hope I've properly expressed why I'm doing my best, right relations wise, to push back against even subtle attempts to kind of use the rays against each other or pit the rays against each other. and explain why I have issue with that. The rays are sacred to me, and they would be to anybody who claims to have any type of connection to the rays. So I hope this video has been insightful. I hope it's been uplifting. I hope all receive the message that this may be for. So in closing, rainbow blessings to all the rays, and rainbow blessings to all frequencies, all parts of light, and blessings to Source as well.